Hello and welcome to our channel. So I wanted to do this video because I know I'm not going to remember everything from the first trimester, and some of these things might happen to you or somebody that you know, so definitely want to get this out there. I also did a video about how I knew that I was pregnant before the pregnancy test said that I was positive, and I also did a video about what I did during the first 24 hours after finding out that I was pregnant. And thank goodness I did that, because I don't even remember what I did at that point except for calling the doctor. But there are other things that are important that are in there. Some of the things that I'd mentioned previously that were kind of dead giveaways that I was pregnant were that my chest was getting bigger. And then another thing that happens, if you don't know already, is that your areolas are going to get a lot darker. When I learned that, that was definitely a major shocker. I did not remember learning that in school or anything like that. I had not heard that previously. I only heard that from one friend after she had had her first child. One thing I definitely wish that I had done before I was even pregnant, when I was trying to get pregnant, was read the book What to Expect When You're Expecting. It gives you so much information about what you should do before you even get pregnant. Like, for instance, taking prenatal vitamins, which you're supposed to take before you get pregnant, while you're pregnant, and then after your pregnancy. So that's something, there's a lot of information in there about medical checkups and different options that you might have to think about when you have your pregnancy. So I definitely recommend reading that book ASAP if you're trying for a baby, or if you're pregnant already, or if you know someone that you can recommend that book to or give as a gift if they're pregnant. That would be awesome too. A couple of things that I did not expect from first trimester. So one thing was that I would drink a lot more water. I feel like I was getting up so much at nighttime, drinking like a fish, and definitely going to the bathroom a lot during the nighttime as early as the first trimester. That was something I definitely did not expect. I definitely had some round ligament pain, which was definitely pretty painful. So I think that was kind of on the sides, it was the lower stomach type area, closer to to where the thighs start. And it was, I guess, a stretching of the area. I'm not exactly sure why it happens, but I definitely remember having pain there. And then throughout the pregnancy too. A lot of times people ask about cravings, and there were some cravings I did have. So I had cheesy and salty cravings. And then one time in particular, I had a craving for a bologna sandwich with mayonnaise, which is super weird because I don't even think I like bologna. I never, usually that was my brother's thing, not my thing growing up or anything. And I don't even usually have mayonnaise that much, except for on a Jersey Mike's sandwich. So my whole pregnancy, I was craving the Jersey Mike's number 7, which is my favorite. And you're not supposed to have deli meat when you're pregnant. So I was just so upset. I would actually order it without the deli meat on it. So I would have everything else on it, but just not the meat. It was still really nice, but oh my gosh, I was craving that so badly. The other thing though, I was having more food aversions more than I was having cravings. And that's something I'd never heard before. So that was certain things I would just not be able to tolerate. For instance, raw chicken. And in my household, a lot of chicken is being cut up to be eaten by my husband, and I just could not even look at it. I couldn't even eat chicken or meat for probably most of the first trimester, I guess I would say. A lot of times I was eating saltines because I just felt I couldn't eat so many different things. It just felt so nauseous. And I would have hummus. So saltines, salty things, and hummus, for some reason I kept going to. I don't know why. One of the things also that made me realize I was pregnant was having the morning sickness. Just the one day I did not vomit. I just felt nauseous before I got up. And then the morning sickness would kind of last just during the day for me. So I would just kind of feel off during the day, and I would have a lot of tiredness, just feeling nauseous. I couldn't eat a lot of different things. And that was most of the first trimester. So I was just feeling pretty horrible. The interesting thing is that the travel that we did during the first trimester, so usually I will get car sickness, but for some reason I feel the like morning sickness and the car sickness somehow canceled out. And then I ended up, whenever we were driving a car, I didn't get sick at all. I just felt tired. So I thought that was really interesting. I also had some smell aversion. So anytime that I would be in the grocery store or just anywhere near some sort of seafood, I would have to run past the seafood section because my smell, everything was just so strong, like so much stronger than it usually would be. And I just could not tolerate the smell of seafood. The other thing I was really shocked by with the food aversions is I would be obsessed with something and then I would just not even be able to tolerate it whatsoever. So like one thing I did, I went to the grocery store and I bought Perfect, it was like the peanut butter dark chocolate Perfect bars, and I like the previous week I loved them, I was all about them. So I went to the store and I bought like 10 or 15 of them, something like that. By the time I got home, I didn't even want to look at them, and I didn't even, like, for weeks, I don't think, look at them. I also went through a phase where, so during my first trimester, I was having issues with gastritis that I was recovering from. So I was supposed to be eating different types of food to try to like help my stomach. And one of them is sauerkraut. So that's like one of the good foods that's supposed to help. So I went through like a week or two where I was just like obsessed with the sauerkraut. I was eating with lots of different things. And so then I thought, okay, I'll go to the grocery store and this time I'll really stock up on it for the next week. Cause the last week, you know, I ran out early. So I bought all this different sauerkraut, and by the time I got home, I didn't even have it for months. I could not even look at this sauerkraut, and that would keep happening. So there would be things that I was obsessed with one week, and then by the next week, I didn't even want to look at it. So that's something I definitely, I've never had that happen before. Usually I'll get something, I'll eat it. I don't like to waste food. Luckily the sauerkraut didn't expire for like a year or something like that. So by the time I got like back to it, it was still good, but that was just kind of insane to me. I would say as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, the worry kind of like set in a little bit. So we got pregnant really fast. We started, I mean, we waited a long time before we were able to try. Once we wanted to try, we had to wait a long time because of medical reasons. We had to get the okay from the doctors and all that. So once we were finally able to try, we got pregnant like right away. So to me, I thought that was a major indicator that we were going to lose the baby. I had known other people who got pregnant really fast and their baby did not survive. They had had a miscarriage. So to me, pretty much every single day, I was just fearful that there was going to be bleeding. Every time that I went to the bathroom, I was afraid that I was going to see blood, that I was going to lose my child every single day. And the fear was probably at the highest in my first trimester. So it was really scary. Yeah, I just knew everything was in God's hands and I just had to wait to see what was going to happen. One crazy thing that happened at the end of the first trimester was I felt something in my stomach. So I had turned over and it felt like there was like a little goldfish or something that just went from like the side to the side, like a little bit of water or something like that just went from like this side to that side. So I don't know if that was just like the amniotic sac or what that was, but by the end of the first trimester, that was like the first time that I ever felt something there. So during the first trimester, I had at least 2 ultrasounds. So I remember going to the first ultrasound. Unfortunately, John was not able to go with me because of COVID. So what we were able to do was we FaceTime, so he was able to see everything pop up on the screen for the ultrasound. And unfortunately, they wouldn't let us hear the baby. They said that it wasn't something that was seen as medically necessary, so they weren't allowed to let us hear the heartbeat. So that was kind of sad, but it was so exciting to see the baby on ultrasound, and it made it just feel a little bit more real. So I was still very scared, but it made it feel more real. I remember during the next ultrasound, so the first ultrasound, I was calling the baby lima bean because the baby looked just like a lima bean to me. And during the next ultrasound, the baby was so much more formed and it looked like a little baby on ultrasound. That was just crazy to me. I think one of the toughest things about a pregnancy is figuring out how you're going to tell people, if you're going to tell people, when you're going to tell people. I've known people who don't tell anyone until after the baby's born. I know people who want to tell people right away as soon as they find out that they're pregnant. So for me, we ended up at 4.5 weeks was Easter, and we ended up, I don't know why, I had this gut feeling since we had a number of family members, immediate family members that we had over for Easter. That day I did not intend on doing this, but while we were having an Easter party, I just had this gut feeling like we should at least tell them, like we should tell them why they're there. And I was so happy that we did, because it was a while before we were able to see those family members again due to COVID and just a lot of different things that were going on. That was like the one get together that was nice. It was like such a beautiful day. And I partly wanted to tell them. So first of all, when we did tell them, some of the looks that I received once finding out that we're only 4.5 weeks was kind of like sheer terror. Like, oh my gosh, that's so early to be telling people. But part of the reason I wanted to tell them was that if something should happen, I wanted to have support. So, you know, whether it worked out or not, I wanted people to know that, you know, we were so excited for this baby, and if it should not work out, then we're so excited that this still happened, that, you know, for the first time ever, we got to have life like that. So yeah, I mean, either way, we were excited about it. And even if it didn't work out, you know, just to know that it had happened at all was really exciting to us. As far as telling others, so we did our like announcement photos we took within the first trimester, but we did not announce to additional people inside of the first trimester. Like some immediate family members, some people that we saw in person, I think we were letting know. But like as far as work and just general, like everyone we knew, we did not announce until after the first trimester. But we did take the photos during the first trimester, and that was a lot of fun. I think I was showing probably around the 2-month point. When I look at the photos, I could tell in my dress, I could see that there was like a bump. So I definitely think I was starting to show around that point. One thing I didn't know was how much you can't do even if you're in your first trimester. So like massages, I had heard so much about how the prenatal massages are supposed to be so awesome, but you actually can't get a massage when you're in your first trimester because I think it can bring on contractions or something like that. So they don't want to take the risk of having a miscarriage. So that was something I did not know until I called, and I found that out the hard way. So you can't do that. You can't have the deli meat, you can't have certain cheeses. There's actually a number of different things that you can't do once you are pregnant. So definitely take a look at that. Like you can't go on rides, certain rides. There are certain things that you can go on, like say if you went to like Disney or something like that. There are things that actually are okay for pregnant women, but most of the things are probably not going to be safe. So just something to think about. And the other thing is that I believe during the first trimester, you're not supposed to go do like a spray tan. So definitely also something to think about. And laser hair removal also you can't do. So I was kind of hoping that I would get all the hair removed by laser hair removal, got like a package, and then I found out, oh, but no, actually you can't use that until after. So definitely a couple other things to think about that you may not have known. One of the hardest things about pregnancy, and especially in the first trimester, was just kind of like the change in hormones and all that. So for one thing, when I would get hungry, I would get really hungry. So like if I started to feel hungry and then I didn't eat something within like between 5 minutes to 30 minutes, all of a sudden I would go from hungry to feeling like the hungriest I'd ever felt in my life. Like if I don't eat right now, I'm going to die. Like that's how I felt. I just felt like this extreme urge that I need to eat right now or I'm going to pass out or something bad's going to happen. And then the same thing with other emotions. So not so much like happiness, but like sadness. I would feel very sad. So not to the point where I was in like a depressive type of state, but it's just, if I was feeling sad, I felt extra sad. If I felt mad, I felt extra mad, like so mad. And like with stress, I would feel extra stressed. One of the things that was really hard was that when I got pregnant, I was only a couple months back to work after being on military leave for about a year. So I was really stressed out trying to relearn things that maybe I had forgotten. There were so many new processes that I didn't know. I was just beyond stressed out, and every little thing I just felt like it felt so overwhelming. And there were probably like 3 times where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I just want to quit. Like, this is just too much. Like, I just felt so stressed, so overwhelmed. Just, I couldn't tell anybody that I was pregnant yet. I felt terrible. I felt tired. It was just a lot. So if you are someone who is pregnant and working and going through all that, I feel for you, because it's a lot. And I was mostly working from home, so I was lucky. People who were going out there were some days where I had to go into the office, but it was a lot. It was just a lot. I feel like in the movies, you'd always like hear about or like see like a pregnant person, and then she would be like eating something or doing something, and then she'd be like, I'm pregnant. And they'd be like, all right. So like, I don't know. I feel like there's always like this kind of stereotype that pregnant women can just be like really like short-tempered or angry. And I feel like there were a couple of times where I kind of experienced like, I guess what they call like the hormonal rage. And like the one time in particular, I was defending a family member about something, and someone was saying like doubting like their ability to do like XYZ. And I just like went off on like this whole like, you know, like rampage, like blah, 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 like, you know, like yes, they can do it, blah, 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 this and that. And I just felt like so angry and so frustrated. And I was just like, why? Like, why did I feel so like so angry? Like I get like, you know, I was upset about this thing, but like, why was I like to that level? And then I kind of like looked online and Googled like, you know, anger and pregnancy and all these things, and saw the whole thing about hormonal rage. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. Like it was so intense. So that's when I first kind of realized like, whoa, like I gotta be careful. Like that's, you know, that's intense. Like I had a right to be upset about what I was upset about and to defend the person how I was, but like to the level that like I felt like of how upset I was inside, I was like, why am I so angry over this? Like normally I wouldn't be that angry. So that was intense. And then there was one other time where my husband and I, we were traveling, and we had been driving for I don't know, probably well over like 8 hours or 10 hours or something like that. It was a long day. We were driving for like a long time. We were traveling like across the country, I think in the Midwest or something like that. And as I had mentioned before, like when I would get hungry, I would get really hungry. So I was driving at this point, and I knew that we were driving to a certain spot, and then something happened, something like changed, like, or like the address wasn't the exact address to like the location. So the address was just to like a town. So like once we got there, like I'm like counting down the minutes. I'm like, I'm so hungry. It's 8:30 at night. I feel like I'm gonna die. Like I need to just like eat like right now. And I was really tired. We had snacks, but like I was just so tired of eating the same salty snacks and like junk that we had. I wanted like a real meal. I was hungry. And so we arrived where the GPS took us, and I was like, this is just like a random spot. Like, where's the actual like address to the place? And then I just like went off on a rampage again. Like I was just like so upset. Like I was so hungry. Like it was like a demon took me over. I was like, and then Dom was just like, whoa, like are you gonna calm down? Like, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm sorry, but I was like, this, like the hunger is just like insane. And it kind of makes me wonder, because like later I did get the gestational diabetes. I was like, I wonder if that was like something to do with like the beginning of that happening or something like that. I don't know, but it was intense. And there are only 2 instances where it happened like that, but it's just something to think about, something to look out for, because you know, you don't want to go off on your significant other. You want to make sure that you're staying like nourished and taking care of yourself and watching out for those things, because they can just come on. And again, like just like with the sadness, I didn't realize what was happening at first. I was like, why do I feel like sad? Like, why do I feel like so down? Like, I don't understand why I feel like this way. And then again, looking up online and seeing, oh my gosh, like this is something that people are going through, and it's something that happens, and there's a reason for it. So then it kind of helped me understand. So, yeah, but I hope this video helps somebody out there. It's you know, it's not easy to be this raw about all these things, but if it can help one person, then that makes it worth it. So if you like this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and otherwise we'll see you next time.